Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as always, I want to welcome you to the one show that lights up your entire week, and it's called Men. Why does it light up your entire week? Because we talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about, but they must be talked about. That is how we will progress as a society, especially in this great country of ours. Now, tonight, we are here at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel talking about men and changing their careers, technically midlife. Now, what is midlife? Is could it be that you decide to change your career because it's a midlife crisis, you're not seeing the money is coming in, so you look at it and say, let me change my path? Or could it be that you've been at the same thing over and over and over again, and as Einstein put it, you're just simply being a madman? Now, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Sam, it's good to have you here, sir.
Again. It's my pleasure to be here again.
Yes, you always bring a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. Colin, why are you looking at him like that?
Because I've never met him.
Well, you've met him now.
No, because you know how great men are,
Yeah.
I look at him with admiration. He looks like a guy who's well put together. Like he's very life affirming. I get that sense.
Moving on swiftly.
Okay.
Yes.
Since you want to change your career or topic. But
Well,
Yes.
okay, we'll start with you as our resident social scientist. Now, sometimes in life, you have a plan, and this is going somewhere. You reach a certain point and realize that things are not quite working out the way you want. And unfortunately for some men, you get to that point of realization when you are almost midway of your life. There's this saying that life begins and ends at 40. And my take from it is that because by the time you hit 40, if you have not gotten onto the right path, then the chances of you getting onto it are very slim. So if you're on the right path, then your life has begun. If you are not on the right path, then it hasn't. So if you can be either hit 40 or you're heading towards 40, then you realize, this is not quite it. Does it make sense to change your path? Or should you just keep hammering until you make it in your career? I know that's a lot.
I think if we are speaking in the context of Uganda, when we use roads, especially in Kampala, you have to be able to change because there's so much jam. Some roads have potholes. When it rains, you don't expect to use certain roads. And this is life. So it's the same thing in a man's career. You start, first of all, in Uganda, do even people have a particular line of career? I seriously doubt. Because in Uganda, most of us, most people, most men, just chase jobs. Once you get a job, whether you wanted that kind of occupation or not, you just do the thing. You want to bring bread at home. So first of all, you may begin in the wrong career, the wrong profession. So once you're there 20 years, 30 years, and you find that it's boring, you may want to change. So first of all, in life, you can't say it is too late for you to change. You quoted this wise
Albert
Einstein.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember very well, he said, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, then you are mad. So you are 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and you are like, no, it is enough of this. Let me change. So maybe the thing we need to interrogate is, how do you change? Why do you change? What do you change to? I find those ones very important. But what is clear is that if it is not working, then you don't stick on it. You get something else which is working.
Chris would throw stones at you if he heard you say that, especially in the marriage context.
Good enough we're not talking about marriage today, Peter. We are talking about career. But again, if we were talking about marriage, that's why the word divorce
this is what they say when the cat is away. The
Yes.
Peter is dancing like a little cat around the fire because he knows the dragon breeder is not here.
It's not here today.
Yeah. So because career is, I think the other day when we were talking about love children, Colin, if you remember, we said a child is a 90-year project. So you don't just meander around. A career is a lifelong project. once you don't plan it properly, then you reach a stage where you need to change. And I think the problem is in how do we identify careers that we want to pursue. Because some people have passion in childhood. Someone wants to be a musician, and then the parents are saying, no, you can't sing, you are shaming the family, please be a doctor. And the guy practices medicine 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and the theater bores him. He wants to go back to sing. So what does the man do? He pursues his interests.
Okay, Sam, again, I know I like using that term selfish, okay. Is it okay to be selfish and think about yourself? Because it's your career, fair enough, but as a man, as a leader, it's not only about you. I mean, so fair enough, Banji has rightfully mentioned, unfortunately, a lot of people get into careers, stumble into careers. I mean, I'm out of a finished campus, I need to do something, okay. I'm a trained medical professional, but I can't get anything in there. So here I am, I end up working.
Cakes.
Yes, baking cakes. Okay.
And specifically pancakes.
Yeah, pancakes, yes. And it's working. It pays the bills, it does. But so things start moving, and I become that pancake guy, okay. But then somewhere along the line, I say, but hold on, this is not what I wanted to do, okay. So I put a hard stop, I pull the handbrake and say, all right, now I'm hitting 40, okay. This is not what I wanted to do. It's going to reach a time, because first of all, there are more people who are making better pancakes than me. Maybe this is not even sustainable. Is it fair for me to pull the handbrake and expect my family as a leader to go with me in the same direction?
First of all, you may want to ask yourself why you have come up to 40 years of age before knowing what your life should be about. I know that can attract, you know, the hottest debate ever, and I'm aware, especially from the man on my left side.
Yes.
But you need to first do some evaluation and ask yourself, how come I have come to 40? I have spent 4 decades on earth before I could realize I was on a wrong path. I think it's important to first do that kind of assessment of your own life and do some reflection. But that put aside, I think it also becomes self-deceptive. It becomes something not right vis-a-vis your future. It becomes something not okay for you to again keep yourself stuck in something you know is not going to work. I think a time must come, Peter, when you know that the horse is dead and stop hitting it to continue to force it to move.
But Sam, in all fairness, sometimes, especially when you've got responsibilities, you've got school fees you're paying, you've got rent you're paying, it's not just as simple as jumping off. You might be working for Colin, all right, who is paying you peanuts. He's been doing it for the last 20 years.
How do you know?
It's a safe space. Okay. You're like, you know, at least my kids can go to school, at least. It may not be, because there are a lot of men out there who are not doing what they love, but they're doing what's keeping them afloat.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So aren't you judging people harshly?
Well, I like the way you always choose your words, especially when you want to put somebody on the spot. But I will refuse to feel what you want me to feel. That put aside, I think that's why it's important that even when we are talking about a career change, midlife career change, we get to know that we are not talking about this drastic instant fly out of your career into a new one as immediately as possible. No. For me, when I talk about career change, I'm talking about some kind of a gradual process of phasing yourself out of where you are and you don't like the place into a place that you think is going to give you more peace, maybe more money, maybe make you more fulfilled and feel, you know, a deeper sense of satisfaction. I'm not talking about jumping out of a career into a new one. I am talking about a planned journey, you know, phasing yourself out of where you are into the next place. Because the moment you just jump out, that has dire consequences. It may have dire consequences on your own health. It may have dire consequences on your family. If you're a family man, like you're talking about, you're leading your family, all of a sudden you jump. By the way, I did some change of careers myself. So I have a story to tell. I know that I phased it, you know, into where I am right now.
But and I'll get to you, Sam, about that. What he's saying sounds very textbook.
Okay, to you.
Yes, and I'll tell you when. And Colin, I'll need your input here.
No. You can't ignore me for the first half hour of the show. Then now you want to talk to me. Please support me.
Don't forget,
like
you're
a
the one
whiny little
who
girl.
doesn't pay people well. So yes, I mean that was a joke. For the record, that's not there. But sometimes, again, I always say, in reality, life throws things at you. Now, most people don't face out, because facing out is when you have all the tools at your disposal. So you can be able, there are people who have hit rock bottom and are like, okay, I mean, I was working at this place, it's shut down, I can't get a job in another place. So now maybe I need to turn around. Your example, for instance, here you are, you change countries abruptly like that. You go to a new country. Now, do you hang on to it and say, no, I'm going to continue doing what I was doing? Or do you say, all right, now, let me look for an opportunity, and the best opportunity, I just take it up and run with it?
I'm not the right example to use. Because a large majority of people are average. If you're average, it's hard to just change countries and just show up. But if you're truly one of the best, what ends up happening is you get picked, you get selected. But if we are going back to your example,
I wish I had a stick. Right?
You cannot beat me. So I want to give you an example. My dad, when my dad was in school, he had a gift for the arts, literature, and history. He loved those things. He loved stories. But when he got to the time to make a decision, someone who was more influential prevailed on him to come to the university and study chemistry and biology and those things. He went and he taught, did education. But somewhere along the way, he knew it wasn't his path. At a certain point, he applied, he did a master's, and after his master's degree, he came back as a human resource professional. He's been in that profession now for 30 years. It's actually not, 30 years. He's been happy there. He's provided an education, he's provided a home. He's done what he wanted to do. I think that inside every man, there is a sense of what their calling is. Mm-hmm. I think so. Mm-hmm. And what happens is sometimes life conspires to deal you a bad hand. You get someone pregnant right before you finish campus. So instead of going to pursue your profession, you end up doing something else. You're a girl, you get pregnant, so you have to sit down for 2 years. You lose 2 years in work experience. And that sort of, the penalty for that follows you, because every time you're 35, all other girls who are 35 have 10 years experience, you have 2 years. You have 2 years less experience. That's how life is. And I'm not saying people shouldn't get pregnant. I think that it's a life choice. It's a life-affirming choice. But I think that people should follow their purpose. And part of that purpose is having the courage to say, this is what I'm doing to pay the bills, but what I do is not who I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can explore that a bit further. So when we come back from the break.
So you're saying that, yes, because we have to actually get into a break.
I was going into the break, then you interrupted me.
All right, sorry, please take
us
into the break.
You know what? It's fine. Since you've already broken my flow, you're just there prancing.
Now, we're here at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel talking about midlife career change. Is that something that you are considering right now, or is it something that you are struggling with? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break, because Colin has a few things to tell us about that. Welcome back from the break. We're here at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel talking about midlife career change. It's not an easy thing. We want to continue this discussion off the screen, and that is on NTV MEN UG. That's our Twitter handle. Also, NTV MEN on Facebook. Let's get this discussion going. Now, Colin,
Yes.
before we went into the break, you mentioned sometimes life deals you a hand. Okay, so you go down a path which was not your choice. Okay, and however, don't you think that when you go down that path, you discover another side of you that maybe you did not know? So I wanted to be a teacher, all right? But then I was dealt a blow. I ended up working on a construction site. Then I found out that actually I could be a good contractor, but I had to learn from that. So I wasn't really dealt a blow by life, but I was just being shaped down the right path, because everything happens for a reason.
I don't know.
And sometimes the reason is that you were foolish in your decisions.
Okay, all right.
Okay, please explain.
Yeah, please. I mean,
Yeah, you know, we often say everything happens for a reason, and that's true.
Yes.
But honestly, sometimes it's that I made a bad choice, and that's the reason why I am in, you know, what I am in.
Yes.
You know, and what he talked about is something that we need to indeed explore a little bit much more, the issue of purpose. Do you know that some people change their career, midlife, simply because they have realized that there is a core of purpose upon their life that they can no longer ignore anymore? I have a friend of mine, he's quite advanced in age. I think this year he made, is it 58 or 59? Something like that. But I remember about 7, 8 years ago, when he was making 50, he sat me down. We were having a cup of coffee across a coffee table. And he looked at me and said, "Sam, do you know what? I feel so bad." I said, "Why?" "Because I have wasted 5 decades of my life." I said, "Okay." It was quite an emotional moment, so I paid closer attention, because where I come from, they say that once you come across a stick that was used to beat your co-wife, you throw it over the fence. It may beat you next. So I paid closer attention when he talked about that.
Yeah.
Then he went on and said, "I have spent 50 years of my life fighting wars I was not supposed to be fighting, doing tasks I was not supposed to be doing. It's now that I have just realized I was supposed to be developing young leaders." So it was the core of purpose upon his life. And over the last about 7 or 8 years, I've honestly watched him from a distance. He's been reorienting his life quite beautifully.
but then,
But
Yeah.
you see, before we even start arguing, most employed people in Uganda, if you are employed, if you are not self-employed, someone gave you a contract. Retirement age mostly in Uganda is 60 years. And 60 is also midlife. Because although we start at 40, 50, some people who live up to 100 years,
not the majority.
yes, they are not majority, but to
They are
them,
there.
it is their midlife.
They are just starting.
They are just starting, my friend, they are starting. So you retire at 60,
Slave judge.
you have been a teacher, you are retiring at 60, then so what? Do you go home and sleep? So you say no, but I think when I grew up, I enjoyed farming passion fruits, and you become a farmer, and we have seen very many people who have made life out of that. So the issue in particular in Uganda is that majority of the people really, we don't pursue our dreams. You know, first of all, you want to be an engineer. You are studying from a school where there is no mathematics teacher or physics teacher. So you end up doing political science. Then you end up doing whatever public administration at the university. Then you end up being a sub-county chief. You are running a program which doesn't deliver. You see? And this is the problem. And
What are you saying about people who studied public administration?
No.
Or BBA?
There are people who wanted to be leaders from
Yes.
the word go.
Yes.
And they do BBA and they do well. The point I'm making is, sometimes as you argued that life conspires, life throws missiles at you that in your early life you are entangled.
Yes.
You don't have the wisdom to escape or the control to escape. Now, here reaches 40, you are like, well, I am 40. I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. I think I can reorient myself to this direction. So you start to change. And I think when you brought in the issue of the family, these are things again which tie us guys. Because you rightly said that maybe you are, even first year you are too far. Even senior 5, guys are fathers in senior 5, in senior 3. Yes. Now, once you're a father, you have to feed the child. And the nearest job is for you to grow cotton. So you grow cotton, but really you don't enjoy growing this cotton. You want to become a priest, but now you can't. You can't
You
go
no
to
longer
a seminary.
qualify,
You already have a child.
Your inability to pull out has
Yes,
caused
no.
you.
So you grow, but when you reach 50, you realize, well, I think I can self-teach the Bible and open a church and become a pastor somewhere. So you pursue your calling. And by the way, if you have a calling, it's very difficult to resist.
Yeah, but
Actually,
I'll
it's
tell
not
you.
difficult. It is impossible
Yes. No.
to escape the calling on your life.
But you see, it's very ties in very closely to what Sam talked about, the issue of finding purpose. Now, you're calling it a calling, he's calling it purpose. It's pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
When do you find that? Because why do you have to wait until you've wasted, you talked about wasting 4 or 5 decades of your life,
So
all right?
Yes. So I want to answer this. I want to start, and then, the wise man can.
I appreciate your kind comment.
I am the curtain raiser for this
I
question.
appreciate your kind
As
comment.
you're the main act. This is what I think. I think that in our younger years, as Banji said, we don't have the wisdom, we don't have the resources. But most of all, and I think this is extremely true for Uganda, we don't have the independence to go against society. So you want to be an artist, you waste 30 years because now you are your own man, you have your own children, you have your own household. You can be an artist and no one will question you. But as long as someone is paying your fees, they say to you, as long as I'm paying your fees, I will never allow you to be an artist. I will have no artists in this house.
For as long as you're under my roof.
As long as you're,
Yes.
that's how fathers say. As long as you're under my roof, we have no artists here. You'll never play what. But then you think about, you don't play sports. But the reality, and this is where you must now start challenging parents. You can't
Are you
be.
calling it a rebellion?
No, I'm just saying. Listen, we must start talking the truth. Whether we talk it to children, we tell it to parents, it's fine.
Is it challenging parents or explaining to parents?
I'm saying we must challenge the norm.
Okay.
We must challenge the paradigm where, we must challenge the logic of where every weekend you go and watch football, you watch the English Premier League, you watch basketball, you watch Lewis Hamilton, you see all these stars. You are in love with Beyonce and Jay-Z and every singer. But then in your house, people cannot sing, they cannot dance, and they cannot play sports because you want them to read books.
But I'll tell you
But
what,
before
Colin,
you come in,
just 1 second.
Igaga,
Colin,
I wanted to add on his, because I may lose it.
Okay, fine.
I just hope we still remember we are talking
Yes.
about midlife
Yes,
crisis.
Yes, we're getting
Because
there,
the other point I wanted to develop is that sometimes when you are beginning in life, you may have what you want to do. But actually, that what you want to do at the moment does not bring food on the table. It is even not there. Look at the music industry. In maybe 20, 30 years ago, musicians were, I'm going to use the word gambling. It wasn't earning anything.
They used to call them abadongo.
So to stand on your legs and you say, I want to be a musician, people would even laugh at you. What are you? Where are you going?
Yes.
But now as you grow old, you realize that this thing has started paying. It is now acceptable. So you say, let me change into this. And it takes us to what Colin said. Can we then start, challenging society? Because there is one man here who has practiced kickboxing. And he's saying this is a sport, you can earn from this.
No, but you see, and that's where I'd wanted to come in. I hear what you're saying, but you talked about parents. Sam asked, challenging the parents. You see, it's no secret, and I'm going to now put on my parental hat. At the end of the day, as a parent, when I am telling you to stop being a musician, it's because as far as I can see, this is not going anywhere. I'll give you a simple example. Who knew that social media influencers right now could be a job? You can actually be paid for it.
For being on Facebook.
For being on Facebook. When Facebook started, it was a total waste of time.
Companies used to fire you for being on social media.
So you cannot blame, and you cannot blame the parents for trying to guide you in the right direction.
But we can challenge the culture. We can challenge the closed-minded culture that you parents have introduced, where you must restrict and frame everyone's career options. So a very interesting conversation that I had with Sam before we started tonight. We were talking about the skill sets that are going to be required for the future. And the reality is the jobs that are present today. So I was derailed, but when I was talking about Banji, I was saying, it doesn't make sense for us to spend so much money. You spend so much time on your phone, you spend so much time on digital apps, but then you think that everyone must be a doctor, an engineer, or a scientist. If all the money, everything in your life is spent around things in your house and around entertainment. So I think that we must, one, have the conversation about those wasted years. For those guys who have lost those years, they can't get them back. But there must be an honest, and I must admit now, difficult conversation about what do you really want to do. It's not just about finishing HSC and go to university.
Yes, which now takes me back to what I was asking Sam, and I need to know about this thing called purpose. All right, when do I find my purpose? Okay. If I find it 40, 50 years later, then did I waste 5 or 4 decades, or was I finding my purpose? Because one of the things which we must take into account is it's very easy for us to sit here and say, oh, you know, we need to challenge our parents. 80%, actually 90% of the people living in this city, their parents were brought up in the rural areas. Their exposure was limited. So you cannot blame me as a parent for being closed-minded, because I did not know that 10 years or 20 years from now, music was going to pay. How was I supposed to know?
Well, Peter, to begin from that, nobody is responsible for your ignorance. Hey, you have to own your ignorance if you are ignorant. So yes, we will not blame them.
It imagines that he's an equal opportunity offender.
You see, you can't say, don't blame me, I didn't know. They say that ignorance of the law is no defense. If you go to the courts of law, Peter, and you say, I am sorry, I didn't know that stealing a goat was wrong, they will say, oh, okay, so it's okay, let's send you to the University of Understanding. By the time you return, you will be aware. You get my point. But putting that aside, when is the right time to discover purpose? I want to just say, as early as you will be able to. Some people discover it at 10, some people discover it at 60, some people discover it at 30. I don't think there is any kind of formula that you say, to discover your purpose, it is pi r squared times 4 over 5, then times your age, cubed. No, there is no formula. But what I often tell people is, to the best of your ability, get onto that journey as early as possible in your life. Because what does it profit you to discover your purpose at 70, and then you only have maybe 5 years to try to live it before you die?
Mr. KFC.
But now, again, Sam, we are also debating one side of the coin, where you are changing career because of purpose. But we also know that a man as a leader, you may actually change a career into something which is paying. You may even not be interested in it. And you realize that, for instance, you realize that now this sector has high-paying jobs, or now this sector has available jobs. So you do what it can to go and grab part of it and feed your family. Okay, there are people who are changing because of this. Because
it's not because they don't love what they're doing, but everyone is going into oil. So you get a master's degree, you go into oil because you know in 5 years the oil guys are going to have the money. Is what you explain.
What I'm saying, it is partly so, but partly no. Currently I'm a teacher, and I love teaching, but the pay is not enough. And I see that in the next 5 years, money will be in the oil, because already the people working in the oil are already, their salary scales are times 5 what I have. So I go back to university, do something in petroleum, something, and wait, and then when the oil sector opens, I go there. not because really that is my calling, but because I am seeing that there will be money. So career change can be because of a variety of reasons. The calling is mostly the most fundamental, but sometimes you can even be sacked from your current job.
Yes.
And
yes,
you are
yes, yes.
on the floor, down, nothing. You say, what now do I do? In this industry, because say if you are in public relations, everyone knows that this guy did ABCD. So you say, now let me look for a quiet something which I can do silently under the radar, and I move on. So we should also consider this. But I think I need to go to what Sam has said. Personally, when I left university, I just jumped into a job. And it was a nice job and I enjoyed it. But then you reach a time where you are working and you are like, I am not supposed to be here really. I am not feeling this thing. You don't feel it. So you start gradually but surely to exit yourself.
All right, we do need to go into a break, but one of the things I need you to just all of us to think about, based on what you have said, is you get into this thing. But isn't it about what actually motivates you? What if what just motivates me in my life is money? So it doesn't matter what job I do, as long as there's money, that's where I follow. Food for thought. Now we are here at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel talking about midlife career change. Is it suicide or is it lack of wisdom? Like Colin sometimes acts. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we're in the last segment where we are talking about midlife career change. Now, we need to hear from you. Let's get chatting on Twitter. Our handle is NTV MEN UG, and our Facebook page is NTV MEN. Follow us so we can talk. Motivation, guys.
No.
Motivation.
So, yes.
Peter, I think my brother here has brought in something fundamental. As we talk about all these things, let's not box our thinking into one corner of the reason why people change their career midlife. There are as many reasons as the number of people changing their career.
Yes.
I'll give you some quick examples. For example, some people change their career because they have been in a job they dislike. As simple as that. I have an example of a good brother of mine, not biological, but a friend, who is a medical doctor by training. And he has been in clinics injecting people. But he just doesn't feel it at all. And I talked with him just this evening. He has just thrown in the towel and he says, I cannot remain in this thing. I don't like it. Some other people change their career because the current career hasn't delivered on the promises.
Yes.
You see, they believed that this career would take them to the promised land. But now they realize they are stuck in the wilderness. And the ground is opening, swallowing them.
They are in the wilderness without a Joshua.
Without a Joshua, without manna from heaven, they thought it would fall into their laps. It's not coming. Some other people change career because they see some new exciting opportunities somewhere else. So they say, I need to jump onto that. There are others who change career because of the purpose issue that we talked about, the core of purpose. But there are also other people who change career because of advice from family and friends. They look at you and say, but the way we look at you, Peter, you can make a good fisherman. What are you doing on TV? And maybe because the person who is...
I love this guy. We must bring him again. We must bring him again. If he can put you in check like this,
maybe the person who has said it is somebody you really believe in. Is somebody you really trust, whose advice you always take serious. So you change. Some other people change career because they are new in more interesting industries. You talked of social media. It came here in 2005. Yeah, it just started in 2005. Nobody knew about it. But now social media is a huge, robust industry. So they see some new industries that are mushrooming and they're exciting and they promise good opportunities. They just jump onto them. But also, there are those who change career because they realize they have transferable skills that could be used in quite different industries. I met such a person today in the morning, a lady who was in the banking industry for, she told me, 10 years, about 10 years, and she was into operations and so on and so forth. But now she is an HR manager for an insurance company because she realized that the skills she was using in the banking industry could actually be transferred to insurance and human resource. So what she did, she immediately signed up for a master's in human resource. And by the time she was finishing the course, there were opportunities in the insurance company where she is right now. She's now HR, but she was in banking. So there are many reasons why people change career. Even others change career because they have hit rock bottom. Their life is a mess, so they don't know where next to go. When they open their eyes, the first thing they see, they go for it.
I want to add on that. I want to add on that list. People change careers because their skills get outdated. That's what I wanted to add.
Yes.
Yes.
That the skills you've had for the last 15 years
are no longer
they
viable.
expire. They become outdated.
Yes.
And you look into the future and there is no way for you. You realize that in 3 years your job is going to become automated. In 5 years you are nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes,
Those of
but
typewriters.
I also want to expand Sam's list. That majority, let us accept, a number of Ugandans, a number of us in Uganda, we are from humble backgrounds. So you study through UPE, USE, and you land yourself at university. And the government says we shall sponsor you for nursing. You don't want to be a nurse anyway. But it is what is
It is the free,
Just
it's the
teach
free
it.
thing that is there.
So what you do, you study nursing, you go and practice in the clinic. As you save money, you go back to school and study pharmacy. So you switch and become a pharmacist. That's one of the reasons.
That's how a lot of people actually progress.
Yes. But the other thing I wanted to just tap from what he said, that you are in a career which had promises, but it is delivering nothing. You realize that of recent, very many people are changing from being employed in employed work to self-business. Because people have realized in Uganda that you can be, you can be an accountant of a firm for 3, 4, 5, 10, 4 decades, and still you are still probably renting, probably you are still using a taxi. But a boy, against your will, but a boy who just started selling charcoal in the neighborhood is now bringing charcoal on his own pickup. So you realize and say, but look, I think business is paying, and then you also dash there and grab on the opportunity.
But Banji, I see there lies the problem. One of the things I want us to interrogate is, do we have a lot of this fluidity because of lack of guidance? Same way, I don't understand, this guy maybe has grown up in a family who've been selling charcoal for the last 10 years.
Yes.
He understands the business. Now, I know in Uganda we have a lot of that Me Too thing. I look, I say, and we compare ourselves a lot. I say, but just the other day, Colin was here with me. All of a sudden, he's got a car and I don't have. All of a sudden, so-and-so is doing this. And we jump into it. Now, if we may go back to the beginning, and especially about careers, you talked about it. We are fluid in such a way that we flow on what is most convenient for us. If I don't have to pay, I'll go there. Okay. And usually our parents encourage us, because they are also for their own selfish reasons, are saying, okay, if you're going to go and do nursing, then just go, because we're not going to pay.
Let's start there.
And then we will see. And we know what that means, that we will see. It means just get in there and go.
Life will sort you out.
Life will sort you out, yeah. But what about career guidance? When is the time for that to come in?
Now, before we go to career guidance, let us, I think some maybe will expound on this. Let us look at talent identification.
Yes.
I think that's where we need to begin. Now, there's a certain country, I think, that one of those countries in Europe, that when you are studying P1, P2, and part of P3, you actually don't go with books. Today, a teacher comes and says, we are walking through the forest with a group of kids. Pick whatever you want. This one will come with a piece of wood, this one will come with soil, this one will come with an insect, and he makes his notes. So he knows the one who has picked insects. The one who picked insects is interested in that kind of
the one who picks
life.
a red ant is going to be a soldier.
Probably will be a soldier. And another one has brought a stick and is carrying it like a gun. So this is a military guy. Another one has brought soil and is modeling them. And so they do that and document, and then the report of the teacher is that in my observation, so and so is likely has interest in this, so and so has interest in this, so and then they begin nurturing that. So what I think what we need to do is to identify talent and then nurture the talent. This habit of waking up today, you're a teacher, tomorrow you're a nurse, the other day you're an engineer, I think we lose a lot of time that we do not develop adequate skills that can make us progress.
Now, in addition to that, I want to believe that good enough, this is a program for men. I want to believe that the cardinal responsibility of talent identification doesn't primarily rest on the teacher, it rests on the man in the home.
Yes.
It rests on the parent. I mean, I have my 2 children. I have Petra and Prosper, my daughter and my son. I always monitor them. I always see what they like doing. I know that my girl loves singing, she loves dancing all over the place, and she's already into leadership. I know my son loves football and, you know, all these kinds of things. And I try to see how I can expose them in those different areas. So I wanted to put that on the side, that it's not the responsibility of the teacher to know, you know, what my child will become or what. That doesn't mean that the teacher has no place, because that's why I send the child to him. He should also be part of the equation, but the primary responsibility lies square with me, the man in the home, the father, the leader of the home. That on the side, you talked of the career guidance. Sometimes when I see what is happening in our schools, that they are calling career guidance, I want to get a stick. they think that career guidance is just getting a list of courses at the university and then showing them students and say, which one would you like to choose? That is career guidance. Which is not true. Which is not true. Was it you or him who talked about most people in this country, they are not into careers they chose for themselves?
Yes.
I'll give an example of my beautiful, lovely wife, my watermelon Charity. You see, she lost her father and mother when she was still in primary school, and she was raised by relatives. So when she came to the time of going for, you know, tertiary education, the uncle goes to some friend who was a principal of a tertiary institute and says, I have my little girl at home, she finished, and we don't know where to take her. And the man says, no, we have here a course. It's called medical entomology and parasitology. Bring her. Yes, that's what my wife studied, not because she loved it, not because she even knew what it was about, but it's because that is what was there. What I studied for my undergraduate degree was not something I had chosen. It's what was given to me. In fact, it was my let me see, 4th option on those job forms and so on and so forth, you know. But later, I discovered my purpose. I've been talking about the issue of purpose, and I realized this is where my career life should go to. So where you are coming from is not your responsibility, Peter. But where you are going should be your responsibility.
That's you.
Yes. And once you realize that I should take this direction, you should stop. I'm sorry, I'm going to use quite a tough word here. A moment. You should stop allow me to use the word nonsense. You should stop the nonsense of saying, it's what the government had given me, it's my father who forced me. You are now an adult. If you are above 18, make your decisions. And
now, we need to get into our parting shots.
We need to what?
Yes, get into our parting shots. You heard
Why
me
don't you just part and leave? Go. Leave the show. Peter, I've not even said 2 sentences.
This is the aggression that people are taking in their careers and going the wrong direction.
Yes, and that's why we fire them.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Always.
Well, but before I part, there's something else I want to add on what someone was saying. Sometimes as parents, we wish to have pursued certain careers, and then we impose them on our children. Because you wanted to become a police officer, and you missed on being a police officer, you say, you get your son and you say, Dan, you have to be a police officer because I know the OC and whatever, join police. So sometimes children will end up doing the careers of our parents. And since we are addressing ourselves to fathers and men out there, let children do their own career. Let them discover what it is that they want to do. The role of a father is to guide, to offer direction, to offer advice, to listen to your child, and then you direct their abilities and intentions and nurture them and produce a complete being. Otherwise, we are going to continue wasting our life, early life, energetic life, doing careers, yes, careers that we are not interested in.
Yeah.
2 is that for whatever reasons you want to change, if you see that the need is for you to change, please plan your change and then work on it. It is your responsibility, it is your life. And for me, I will urge Colin, even if you are 70, even if you are 80, change. Yes, you'll be surprised at what magic you can produce. Yes.
So Colin, and please, as you give us your parting shot, please note Banji's emphasis on you.
Maybe it's because he feared to look at you. You never know.
This is what I think about. Let me tell you, guys, life is so humbling. When I was 27, I looked at people like Peter and said, that guy has wasted his life. He's just here chasing people, running around with flowers, bringing flowers to the office, wasting his life. He could have been more. But I was fortunate enough. Actually, 5 years after that whole scenario, I met Peter. I got to know Peter, we became good friends. I understood the decisions that had led him to become a flower
Vendor.
Your parting shot.
I mean, I think that life is hard. And I say this a lot. It could be because it's a phase I'm going through. It could be because I'm in a situation, but that life is extremely difficult. But when you are young and you're energetic, you have a rosy view of what it's like to be ahead. Going back to that situation, so I look back, this year I'll be 35. I look back at 25-year-old me and the things I said to people who are 33. And how I said, me, by the time I'm 30, I'll have done this, I'll have done this. By the time I'm 35, I will be set for life. I'll be ready to retire at 40.
And now you're going to change career.
As I turn 35, I look into the future, and it's a scary future. It's not because I'm not good. It's not because you don't work hard. It's just simply the future is an uncertain place where the skills that you have today might or might not be present or be automated tomorrow. So I think that one, it's important to be humble. Not to be humble in terms of I accept what life has given me, but to be humble and say, this what I'm doing, I will do diligently. But I will also one day have to face the fact that I will need a new skill if this skill is no longer. Because when you fail to admit, you have a conflict between the reality of where your world is and the reality in your head. You have conflict, you end up with depression, suicide, those kind of things. So the humility to accept that the world is changing and that sometimes of the things that are going to get wiped off the table. If you're a copy typist, one day you're going to wake up and everyone will have a computer. You won't have anyone to type memos for. I think that's one. But two, future-proof yourself. Future-proof yourself and future-proof your people. Future-proofing can be as a function of skills, getting skills now that you can see will be needed in the future. But future-proofing is also mental, teaching people to be adaptable. The idea we're talking about fathers being guides. The thing that fathers need to do to tell children is the world is capricious. The world keeps changing. Have a flexible mindset. Accept that sometimes what you want you can't get now, but you can work around, or you can, work ways. You can build things around it. Take what you have now and work towards what you want.
Oh, okay, great stuff. Sam, your parting shot.
Yesterday, my wife taught me a word called vicarious. Now I've learned a new one from him, capricious. So I'm good to go. Learning. But I really would like to appreciate you, Peter, for this program and the work that all of us are doing together. This is very important. I want to part this way. One, it's key that you prepare yourself mentally for the transition. Many people, they want to transition, they want to change career, but they are so mentally stuck and rigid. So in their heart, they want to move, but their head is just the roadblock. So it's key that you prepare yourself mentally. Once that is done, let me give a quick roadmap of just quick list of things you could consider doing. one of the things you could consider doing is avoiding the naysayers who are always telling you, no, that will not happen. You're going to change career? At 50? Are you mad? Nobody has ever done that. Say, well, I am going to try to be the first one, so let me do my trying. The other thing you have to do is to assess the current skill sets that you do have and see if they are going to fit the new journey you want to get onto. Then number 3, look at where you want to be. If you want to change into driving, so which skills are you going to need? And then have a roadmap of how you're going to acquire them in the shortest time possible, or maybe not. There is no need of saying in the shortest time possible. Maybe the period you have set for yourself. And then also, you need to ensure that you don't just rely on your passion, but you also get ready for hard work. Get ready for hard work. It's not just about, I love this and I am going to do it. Be ready for what it means to change. That's why you must also mentally prepare yourself for the turbulences that come with change. Change means pain quite often, and out of the pain comes the gain. There is no message without a mess. There is no triumph without a trial. There is no breakthrough without a breakdown. In fact, in Chinese, the word they use for crisis means opportunity. So, midlife crisis, midlife career change, this could be your real time of a breakthrough that you have always waited for. So, be positive about it, but also plan. And as you're planning, be ready for whatever will come. And once you're sure that you must change, then change. You don't want to live 60 years of your life climbing the so-called corporate ladder from assistant, deputy, vice manager, to second assistant, this one, to manager, to senior, to CEO, and so on and so forth. Climbing the ladder only to realize that the ladder you've been climbing has all along been leaning against the wrong wall. And at 70, you have to go down and now shift the ladder. Once you realize you are in the wrong place, move on.
It is
move
time.
on. Just like the title of my last book says, you will manage.
Okay, great stuff. Mine is just one simple thing. I agree with you 100%, Colin. This world is not a nice place,
Yeah.
and it eats people every day for dinner. The thing is, at the end of the day, it's about you. Are you going to eat it, or are you going to get eaten? Choice is yours. With those few words, God bless, have a good night, and we will see you next week in one piece. Good night.